Blah freaking blah. Hey guys, it's Eric. Welcome to Blah Freaking Blah. We're talking movies as our pastime. Alright, let's jump right into it. There's news you need to know, and I'm here to share it with you. First off, let's talk about the Avatar sequels. That is, sequels. That's not just Avatar 2 and 3. As it was initially reported, it's turned to Avatar 2, 3, and 4. And then Avatar 2, 3, 4, and 5. All to be filmed at the same time. It's pretty much like a miniseries filming schedule. So the original date for Avatar 2 was next year, Christmas of next year. And it has now been pushed back to December 18th, 2020. That is another 3 years. So what we're looking at is Avatar 3 will open up the next year, December 17th, 2021, followed by a 3-year break for Avatar 4 set for December 20th, 2024. And then Avatar 5 will open on December 19th, 2025. So these are mapped out from the year 2020 to the year 2025, which is just huge. Now, the first reaction everybody had was, why? Cameron, why? Why take so long? Well, okay, guys, this is James Cameron, and I don't know if you're familiar with his work, but this is the way the guy does things. It was the way he did things on Terminator 2. It's the way he did things on Titanic, on True Lies. I mean, the first Avatar took about 4.5 years to do. Actual production, it took right around 10 years, because part of it was him waiting for the technology to catch up with his idea. And of course, they developed what didn't exist when he needed it anyhow, which he did on The Abyss, he did on Terminator 2, he's done on every film. He's always pushed the envelope. A lot of what you see on screen nowadays, CGI wise especially, special effects, is a lot to do with Cameron pushing the envelope so far. We have a handful of people that really push and push and push and push and develop things when they can't get what they want. Peter Jackson with the Lord of the Rings films. You have, of course, George Lucas with the Star Wars movies. Steven Spielberg, James Cameron. You have, just so take a moment to say thank you to these guys for always pushing the envelope and giving us better and better, not only special effects and stories, but the templates for other people to use. So this is all according to Variety.com. And yeah, you're looking at them basically filming 4 more films all at once that will start releasing in 2020. And for you Avatar fans, that's really good news / bad news. The good news is you're going to have 4 more films. I'm excited about it. The bad news is you're going to have to wait a little while longer. And that's if this doesn't get pushed back again. Now, I don't think they will. And I personally think that, Cameron being who Cameron is, of course, he's probably pushing harder and harder and wanting more and more and realizing that they need more time to develop things. They need more time to make the special effects what they're going to be. But consider that what he did with Avatar and the time he had, 10 years will have passed since the original Avatar came out. What they're going to be able to do with these new films with 10 years of special effects advancements under their belt, technological advancements, what are we going to be able to see in this? Now, I don't want to raise the bar too high. I don't want to, raise it so high that not even Cameron can jump it. But I'm excited to see what these guys pull off. I think it's going to be a great theatrical event. I think that we're all going to have a good time. At least I hope so. I know 20th Century Fox hopes so because they are dropping, right now the budget for these films is like $1 billion. With Cameron, that will go up. It would not surprise me at all that the final tally for these films is somewhere around $1.5 billion, maybe even up to $2 billion. Cameron has also pushed that envelope with every single film that he does. Terminator 2, when it was made, it was the highest budgeted film of all time. He then beat that with True Lies, and then beat it again because True Lies at the time it was $150 million, which was unheard of. Titanic came along and it was $200 million. This is the mid-90s. Nowadays, a $200 million film 20 years later is not that unheard of because the cinematic landscape has evolved into that. But you're talking a massive investment for 20th Century Fox and all the producers involved. And man, and let's see, The Abyss, I think was, yeah, he pushed that. And then of course Avatar, it was 200. I want to say it was reported as about $300 million. So they're crossing fingers. But so there is that. Now the other speculation I'm going to throw in here real quick. This is my speculation. Is the other reason that nobody's really talking about why they push these back is they want these Christmas dates. And guys, what science fiction film lately comes out in the Christmas season? Let's think about it for a second. Oh, that's right. You there. You got it right. Star Wars. Yes, they're not going to go up against Star Wars. Cameron's not an idiot. You don't go up against Star Wars. It's best to just give it that birth, give it that breath, let Star Wars play out, and then you take over the landscape for a little while. Especially when you have $1 to $2 billion, especially after marketing costs, riding on the line. Post your comments down below. What do you think? Are you excited about the new Avatar films? Are you frustrated that it's going to take so long? Or do you trust that Cameron's going to use this time to everyone's advantage? Which I personally think he will. Cameron is a brilliant, brilliant filmmaker. He's one of my favorites. Always has been. All right. When we come back, we are going to talk about Marvel's continued plan to destroy their own comic book company. Coming up next. So Marvel. When we say the word Marvel, we think of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. We think of the utter brilliance and tenacity that everyone is trying to model now. Some of the best movies being released, the overarching landscape, the sheer level of creativity that it takes to pull all of these films together and every single one of them be top-notch, entertaining on every level. But what a lot of you may not know is that Marvel Comics, for which all of these movies are based on, the past couple of years has been imploding. Now, I'm not going to get into the commentary as of why, except to say that they keep mucking around with their original title characters. They're mucking around with Thor, with Iron Man, with the Hulk, with Spider-Man. And most recently, they have made Captain America a Nazi sleeper agent. Just chew on that for a second. Captain America has been a Hydra agent all this time. And Marvel's doubled down on this. They have said, no. I mean, when people are like, come on, what's the angle here? When's the other shoe going to drop? When are you going to get Captain America back to normal so we can start reading the story and enjoying it again? And Marvel, it was reported, said that no, he has been a Hydra agent all this time. They've doubled down on this. I'm going to tell you right now, I hate this. I hate their story. I hate what Marvel's doing. I hate what Marvel's doing to their characters. Again, I'm not going to get into the whys and the speculation that a lot of people are getting into. I encourage you to look for yourself. It's a disaster. It's a mess. And this is like the icing on the cake. So, bleedingcool.com, this is where I'm getting the story from, reported that Marvel had a plan to get comic shop employees everywhere to wear Hydra shirts to promote the storyline, their massive storyline for the summer, Secret Empire. It's part of Marvel's overall quote-unquote Hydra takeover marketing gimmick that has been as well received on social media as well as Secret Empire itself, which is to say, not very well. Bleeding Cool says, for some reason one we can't quite put our finger on, people are uncomfortable with this. What could it be? And the reaction to this has been overwhelmingly negative. And just to break it down in case you're not familiar with what Hydra is, Marvel is asking all the comic book store employees to dress like Nazis. Hydra was a branch of the Nazi regime. And Captain America has been the champion against Nazis and totalitarianism, and he has been the champion of freedom and, just as patriotic and American as apple pie, and Marvel turned him into a god dang Nazi. So, that has not gone over well, and this, and you know, basically the reports, the responses on Twitter were brutal. I mean, brutal. They list off someone who says, as someone, this is from Mary, at, I'm not quite sure how to pronounce this, Sapphic Geek. As someone who works in a comic store, Marvel can bleep off with this nonsense. My grandfather was an Allied soldier captured by the Nazis. Next, you have Glamour Toad. This is at Nikki Coley on Twitter. We've also been asked to change our store logos to hydra symbols. My staff are LGBTQ, Jewish, or both. We are no longer hand-selling Marvel. Way to go, Marvel. And then this guy, Jason Heller, at Jason M. Heller on Twitter, says, as someone who used to manage a comic store, I would simply like to say, bleep this. One person supported it. Turns out he's a neo-Nazi on Facebook, so yay. So Marvel, better straighten up, sons. Better straighten up. Let this crap go. Give us back our normal characters. Now see, my speculation into all this, I think Marvel started mucking around with their characters because at some point the Marvel Cinematic Universe is going to have to change. This is my thoughts. This is my opinion. Blah friggin' blah. I think that what we're looking at is them trying to gear up for the casting changes that are eventually going to come in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. You know, Robert Downey Jr., for instance, is probably, I mean, he's pulling in $50 to $100 million a film now. Can you imagine what he has negotiated for the Avengers film, or what he would negotiate for the films to come after that? And you've got, of course, for every film that comes out, and especially every film that comes out that's a success, the talent is going to want more money. They just are. I mean, that's how it works. I mean, they're earning it. I'm not begrudging that at all, but eventually it will get too expensive. The budget for the Avengers film is reportedly, and I don't have the source in front of me, but you know, Google works for everybody. It is reportedly upwards of $1 billion. That's $1 billion with a B. And a lot of that is salary and back-end royalties. You know, eventually they're going to have to retire these characters, or retire these actors playing these characters eventually. Now, will that be a reboot? I think maybe, to finish off my speculation, I think maybe they were trying to aim for a different angle than just simply rebooting the stories. And I understand that because they've laid so much groundwork. You want to keep maybe propelling off of that and keep telling stories. You don't want to go backwards, you want to go forwards, and I'm with them on that. But their choices of changing the characters and the level of respect, or the lack thereof, that exists in the pages of the comic books, they've made the comics the slave to the films. If this is what they've done, if my speculation is correct, they have gone backward. And rather than keep sourcing the books and respecting the books in the films, as they've done up till now, and in the Netflix series, I mean, pretty much in every work they've done, they have respected their source material. They've completely disrespected it because they are now bowing the books to the movies and trying to gear you up and plant seeds for recasting in the future. It has not worked. Now, how in God's name making Steve Rogers a Nazi plays into that, I have no idea. And frankly, I don't care. It was a stupid story, and I hate it with every bit of my being. And this is coming from a guy that is a casual Captain America fan. I hate it. Anyway, that's my opinion. Let me know what yours is in the comment section down below. Well, you know, let's talk. Let's go back and forth. So, all right. In other Marvel news that may or may not relate to what I've just said, this comes from comicbook.com. And I quote, Kevin Feige doesn't know if the MCU will get a Phase 4. Now, this is where they're at. And now, this isn't really too much news. Feige just basically said, we don't know yet. And to me, they're feeling it out. Because, again, the actors are getting really expensive, and frankly, they're getting older. You know, at some point, you have to retire a character. Not everyone is Hugh Jackman. Not everyone can play the character for 17 years. Here, I'll give you a quote. I think he did an interview with Collider, according to comicbook.com. if you want to check that out. He says, we've been lucky that contract expirations haven't factored in too much. We've had people under contract for certain films, then we've had new ideas and new directions like Civil War, like we wanted to do, and we've been lucky enough to make new contracts. Or Spider-Man Homecoming. The cast has been awesome in their enthusiasm for the direction and the storylines that we're telling. So it really does right now all start with where we want to take the stories, he explained. He goes on to say, certainly as we get to Infinity War, there is a sense of a climax, if not a conclusion to, by the time we're at Untitled Avengers 4, the 22 movies that will have encompassed the first 3 phases of the MCU. And what happens after that will be very different. I don't know if it's phase 4, it might be a new thing. Now, I personally, I love the films. I love what they've done with the characters. I love everything so far, to varying degrees, but I still think the level of excellence and the talent that they've pulled together has just been staggeringly consistently good. But I am actually, as of right now, my mind might change, but as of right now, I am in favor of them changing things up. I'm in favor of them starting over and maybe branching off into new things. I think that would be good. I think, by the time you get to 22 films, I think you've kind of told the story. Considering that all these stories kind of, revolve around the Infinity Stones as the MacGuffins of the story, Infinity War seems like a logical place to wrap that up. So let me know what you guys think. Would you like to just see these movies rebooted? Or do you want to see new characters come in and have these mantles passed on to them? I like to say that I'm flexible and I'm willing to give everyone the benefit of the doubt, but if their handoff is anything like the comic books, trust me, if you don't read the comic books, that is probably something that you will not want. That reboots are the better way to go. So we'll see. They've got time. Maybe they'll figure it out. These guys have been really, really, really good so far, so I don't want to say that I don't have any faith in what they're going to do, because I totally have faith in what they're going to do. When we come back, we are going to talk the new Xmen film. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the Blah Freakin' Blah podcast. All right, wrapping up the day-to-day. This coming via EW.com, that will be Entertainment Weekly. Dark Phoenix confirmed after X-Men Apocalypse. Fox sets release dates for New Mutants, Deadpool 2, and Dark Phoenix. I will be posting the links to these articles in the description box below, but keep in mind that all of these are sourced from my Facebook page. That will be facebook.com/GM Blah Freakin' Blah. Blah Freakin' Blah was taken, imagine that. GM Blah Freakin' Blah at Facebook. Make sure you go over there and like that page, because I am constantly looking for stories that are of interest to me and therefore could be of interest to you. And if you want to get them in your feed, please make sure to subscribe, to like me there and subscribe here. According to Entertainment Weekly, the Dark Phoenix will rise again. After reports circulated over the plot for the X-Men Apocalypse sequel, 20th Century Fox confirmed that the franchise will be revisiting Jean Grey's iconic storyline next year. Revisiting because X-Men The Last Stand visited that one first. It goes on to say, on Saturday, the studio announced new release dates for the next installments of the X-Men Cinematic Universe. Josh Boone's New Mutants is scheduled for April 13th, 2018. That is really, really soon. For productions this big, that's quick. Deadpool 2 will now bow June 1st, 2018. And Dark Phoenix will hit theaters on November 2nd, 2018. So next year, for you X-Men fans, you cinematic X-Men fans, next year is going to be a big year for you. I'm excited. 3 films in 1 year is that's pretty ambitious. It's kind of bold. Hopefully we don't get any X-Men fatigue, but I think that Marvel has proven that all the speculation around, quote unquote comic book movie fatigue is all in their heads. They're the ones tired of it, not us. We like seeing these films. We go see these films. They're fun films. Get your head out of your asses, boys. Just have fun with the movies. So the article goes on, interviewing Bryan Singer, who lays out regret for not actually doing X-Men 3 and finishing out that trilogy. If you don't know, he was going to do it, and Brett Ratner was going to do Superman, the Superman Returns film. Apparently, Bryan Singer really wanted to do Superman, and ironically enough, Brett Ratner really wanted to do X-Men, so they pretty much traded with one another. But Bryan Singer quotes, he says, "I like finishing things. I like finishing this particular iteration." He said this to Fandango in 2016. "I know X-Men 3 was quite rushed, and I didn't complete it, and I felt a little like it was probably my responsibility to do that as a filmmaker, and I didn't." But with X-Men Days of Futures Past came a new edited timeline that Singer teased would fix stuff in the cinematic universe. Now, that's debatable, but I'm not going to go into all that right now. I have an issue with badly written timeline stories, which I enjoy those films, but the time travel was really bad. He goes on to say that the new X-Men film is in the early stages of prep, and he's interested, quote unquote, in directing, meaning negotiations are still going on. He goes on to say, Simon Kinberg, the producer, says, "I definitely would love to take another stab at the Dark Phoenix story." And I'm going to stop right there because my opinion on this is I think The Last Stand takes too much hate. And I know I'm inviting trouble with this comment, but this is my opinion. It's my channel. The Last Stand is overly hated. It was not a perfect film by any stretch of the imagination, but there was a lot of good in it and lots of ballsy moves made by the filmmakers, I thought, and it was I thought it was very well put together. Now, again, messy, probably not the right direction to go storytelling wise, but I thought the ending was quite emotional. You know, I thought it was could it have been done better? Sure. Oh yeah, it could have been done better. But there's very little out there that you can't say that of. So I think The Last Stand is one of those films where it got trendy to hate it. And people say they hate it just because everybody says they hate it. I encourage you to watch it again. You might still hate it. You might listen to me and go watch it and say, nope, it's still crap. But I remember enjoying it in the theater, and I watched it maybe a couple of years ago again, and it hasn't really lost any of its charm to me. The parts that were really cool. They go on to say in the article, "The seeds of Phoenix definitely are planted in Apocalypse. She can't control her powers unless she either fully stops them or lets them all loose, and that's kind of Phoenix. I think in future movies to come, we'll definitely see a bit more of that." As for New Mutants, Boone, who helmed The Fault in the Stars, promised a young adult vibe with familiar faces. So hopefully they do well with that. I'm curious to see where they're going to take the New Mutants after Logan, because that is one hell of a movie to have to follow. And in case you didn't know, Deadpool 2 coming out June 1st. Deadpool 2 coming out next year, June 1st, they finally cast Cable. And it is none other than Thanos actor Josh Brolin, which I thought was a really good choice. It will be directed by David Leitch, still don't know how to pronounce that man's name. He is one of the co-directors of the original John Wick, and he is doing Atomic Blonde with Charlize Theron that comes out later this year. So, and it also says Zazie Beetz, and I'm not kidding, that's Zaziebeetz. If I had a graphics person, I'd have that play across the screen, but I don't have a graphics person yet, so. Zazie Beetz, forgive me if I'm pronouncing that wrong, but I'm just pronouncing it like it's spelled. Does anybody want to comment, see if that's a fake name or not? Will also appear as Domino, while a teaser for Deadpool 2 was released in theaters with Logan. It was a short, it wasn't a teaser. I hate that everybody keeps calling it a teaser. Anyway, pet peeve of mine. So there's the news, guys and gals. We have rolled on through it. I had other things that I want to touch on, but we are out of time. So post your comments down below. What do you think about 3 X-Men films in 1 year? We might see some of those pushed back, like New Mutants. Maybe not. They might just roll these things on out. Are you ready to see somebody aside from Bryan Singer direct X-Men films? I kind of am. I like Bryan Singer, but I'm ready for a new vision in that one as well, because I've really appreciated the efforts of the other directors to do those films. So anyway, sound off in the comments, man. I want to get in the conversation with you. I appreciate y'all listening, and in case you're listening on a podcast, iTunes or wherever, make sure to go to blahfreakingblah.com and subscribe, and like me on Facebook. That's facebook.com/GM blahfreakingblah. Thanks for listening, guys, and I will catch you next time.